All right, folks, hello. It's 6:30. I will call the meeting of the Monday, the May the 9th Select Board regular meeting to order. We will be inviting more people in on the line, I suppose, as they sign up, as they come along. Here's one right here. So, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone on the screen. Thank you for coming tonight. We hope to have a very wonderful springtime meeting this evening. So I'd like to just invite everyone that's in the room to sign up on the sheet that's around, to sign in, make sure we know that you're here. And then, let's see. Then I also would want to remind everybody about the rules of procedure, which are resting right here on the table. Those are the policies by which the Select Board conducts its business here this evening and throughout the year. I would just like to remind everyone, hello, Phyllis. I'd like to remind everyone that for our meetings, we request that we all move and speak in a civil way. And remember that during the course of the meeting, the way we do this business is that the chair of the Select Board needs to acknowledge anyone who wants to speak. So I can see hands on the screen if people want to use the reactions at the bottom, the reactions button at the bottom, to raise your hand. Otherwise, here in the room, please raise your hand, and I will do my best to call on you in order. We have a rule, a general policy, that if you've spoken once and there are other people who want to speak about an issue, that we ask you to wait until other folks have spoken. All right. Okay, so we have moved to the third part of our agenda, actually, which is the welcoming of the public in the community comment period. And I'm going to call on Julie Beat first this evening. Julie's going to talk to the community.
Hi everyone, my name is Julie Beat, and I live on Bluebird Drive. I'm announcing Neighborhood Roots Food Collective's Plant and Seed Swap. It's something we do every year at the Guilford Fairgrounds. This year it will be Saturday, May 21st. The swap begins at 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. we are having a gardening workshop. So at 10 a.m. we'll exchange our extra seeds, plant starts, perennial divisions as we get ready for the gardening season. At 11 a.m. Master Gardener Emma Schneider will teach a workshop recognizing and attracting beneficial insects. We'll learn which insects are beneficial, understand how they help out in the garden, and find ways to encourage the beneficial insects to stick around. So you can come to the swap, you can come to the workshop.
Live in Moscow. President Vladimir Putin marking Victory Day, commemorating the defeat of Nazi Germany. And in a speech, Putin defending Russian actions in Ukraine against what he called neo-Nazis. Here's Simmons.
Okay, that's much better. So you can come to the workshop, you can come to the swap, or you can go to both. Registration isn't required, but it helps us in the planning, especially if we need to have a rain date, which we have for the next weekend. We have one. We have the Sunday, the 22nd is our rain date. I'm going to put all this information in the Zoom chat. But if you're there in person and you want to register, you can go to the Neighborhood Roots website, just neighborhoodroots.org. You can see the event on the front page, or go to the news tab and you can find our registration. And just quickly, for those of you who don't know about who Neighborhood Roots is, I just want to tell just a couple quick things of what we do. So we hold events like this plant and seed swap, other gardening, educational events, our harvest swap in the fall. We have 2 little free pantries that contain non-perishable food items that are free for the taking. One is at the corner of Weatherhead Hollow and Bullock Roads. The other is at the Playscape. Those are open to anyone and everyone who wants to just grab something to eat. And the third main area project of Neighborhood Roots is that we run a neighborhood food buying group. We purchase food directly from farmers and food producers, as well as from Food Connects, which is a food hub in Brattleboro. All of it is local food. And this fall, we're very excited that we'll be opening up these local food buying groups to everyone in Guilford, and we'll be working out of the Broadbrook Community Center. We're going to be able to accept SNAP benefits, and we'll have a pay-what-you-can food shelf. So stay tuned. We'll have more information about that in the early fall. And yes, and I will post in the chat some of this information. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you very kindly. All right.
Can I just ask, were people able to hear that in the audience? Oh, good.
Good. Thank you. I'm not sure we could have done anything. It's nice of you to ask.
Okay, so do you see me?
Yeah,
I'm here.
we see you.
Hi everybody. I just wanted to talk a little tiny bit about how I feel about what's been going on lately and what it was like back when I first came to Guilford. I came to Guilford about 32, 33 years ago. I know that makes me still a flatlander, but I fell in love with the town. I loved it, and I loved going to town meetings. And I remember one town meeting that was very fraught, and I left it in tears because I saw that the town was divided against itself, and I wanted to do something about it. And at the time, Joe Brooks and I were working at the school doing service learning with the students. And one of the things that service learning does is it asks the people who might need service what service they might need. So the students were all sent out, as 7th and 8th grade students were sent out into the community to take a survey of what the town felt it needed most. And the overwhelming response was they wanted to know more about what was going on at the school and what was going on in town. And that's how the Guilford Gazette was born. And the students produced it with the help of adult mentors for many years. And then when when everyone voted for the middle school to go to Brattleboro, and there weren't middle school students to do the paper anymore, it sort of went quiescent for a while, and then it was brought back by popular demand. And what happened in the course of those years where the Gazette was functioning and is now functioning again, I felt was very positive for the town because everyone had a chance to know more about what was happening at the school, and that's what the big division was in the town. People were upset about taxes, about how much it cost to educate students, and they didn't understand why. And in the course of the years when the students went out to townspeople and interviewed them and learned about them, the students learned about the town and the town learned about the school. And it was a very positive thing that happened as a result. And then what happened after that was generally, I mean, it went on for a while and then it disappeared because the kids, but it went to the town news, and I hope you can still hear me. Anyway, it made me think about how we as a town have been through times where we've really been at odds with each other, and we've come through it very well by listening to each other and finding out about each other. And I think there are several things going on in town now that are attempts for us to do that again. And I hope that we will all remember that these things go in cycles and that we're a town that functions really well together when we're listening to each other. And that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan, for the report about the Gazette. All right, next we go to Nancy.
Okay.
Nancy Detra.
And do I get up?
Come right up, and there's an X on the floor. Do you see that?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Stand right there.
And I'll just be
It'll be
broadcast?
perfect. It'll be perfect.
Okay. But I want to turn around. Hello, everybody. I'm here as a member of the Energy Committee. I wanted to let everybody know that we're doing a project this year, continuing what we did last year with making window inserts. And this project brings people together to do that. So what we do is we go out, the members of the Energy Committee and other volunteers that we find, go out and measure people's windows that they have asked to be measured. Because they're drafty, leaky windows that don't have storms or whatever the situation may be. They've been found to be the windows that are letting cold air in the wintertime. So these inserts that we produce together are ones that get cut in Maine. The wood gets cut, and then we all come together in the fall and build them together. The people who ordered them, extra volunteers who just like the sound of the project, and the Energy Committee, of course. And because our community center was not available last year, we did our workshop in Brattleboro at the Winston Prouty Center, and we had quite a few people involved who were from Brattleboro, and a couple from Putney, and a couple from Wilmington, actually. We served the community, whoever was interested in being involved. The window inserts were very inexpensive, and in fact, we were able, through the Window Dressers Organization, to offer them for free or for what you could afford to everybody. So that was a really good thing. And the final workshop that we did at the Winston Prouty Center brought all these people together, and this is the great thing, we had fun. We actually built them together. We learned how to use the different jigs that were set up. I think some of your neighbors, let's see, we had 9 families from Guilford. We had 14 from Guilford last year out of 25 families. This year, we've already got 22 signups, and we haven't really advertised yet, but you're hearing it now. We already have 9 people from Guilford who are looking to have window inserts. So anyway, it was fun to get together and make them. And the jigs and everything are very simple, and there are people there who know how they work and give that information so that everybody can be involved. And if those jobs don't seem like ones that you can do for whatever reasons, we find some way that you can help. So that's what we're doing, and we will do it again in October 20th through the 26th this year. So we're hoping to send out a postcard to everybody in town so that you can know all the facts about it. But if anyone would like one of these flyers, it tells my phone number, also the Window Dressers website, which if you go directly to it and type in your address, it will get you to the Guilford project. So you can sign up there, and I will leave these here for now.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. And thanks to everyone for your offering up your thoughts and speaking to the community. Appreciate it very much. All right, so we move ahead in the select board's agenda here. Are there any changes to the agenda? Thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I so move.
I second.
Thank you, Richard. Are there any comments related to those minutes?
There were just a few names that had missing letters.
Okay, those got corrected or will get corrected?
Yes, I did.
All right, so I'll conduct a vote, since we have people online here, I'll conduct a voice vote. Rusty?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
And Zon says aye. Thank you very kindly. Moving ahead to the next portion of the agenda, which is the updates and discussions. We have two sections this evening. The first is the highway report. I understand that Dan will not be at the meeting tonight, but Michael, you have a thing to say?
I spoke with Danny this morning. He was out of town, but gave me a nice update. They're primarily working on culverts and ditching this week. He has been preparing for summertime paving. He told me that the plan is for Heinsberg Road, Guilford Center Road to be paved, and then a shim course on Weatherhead Hollow. He also said on Broadbrook Road there was work to be done that includes some culvert replacement and pavement repair. Two more things. Danny's looking into having the light fixtures replaced. Efficiency Vermont has a program right now with very affordable, energy efficient light fixtures, and sounding like he's going to pursue that. I think it's a good idea. It seems pretty dim in there at the moment. The light fixtures are pretty old. At the garage, yeah. And Danny's working on getting an RFP put together for the River Road Bridge project.
Thank you. Thank you. And then we'll move now to the portion of the meeting in which we'll hear a report from the Recreation Commission at each select board meeting for the rest of the year. There will be a report from either one of our commissions, one of our committees, or one of our associated organizations, and some of the nonprofits that are involved in the community. There's a whole schedule that's been built. So tonight we hear from the Recreation Commission, and I'll invite Mary Collins to speak to us. I'll switch you to so everybody can see you. Go ahead, Mary.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to let you know that this kitchen is not mine, it's Julia Child's. I wish it was mine. Meanwhile, the commission, this is something that I think is fabulous for the town. We create fun, and lots of fun. So just a little idea of what we're doing throughout the year. We just had the Wake Up the Earth Festival with a big egg hunt at the Springs Farm in Guilford Center, where we paraded down to the Playscape. So the Playscape is a huge asset, I think, for the community, and we kind of oversee that as well. Coming up is Bike Night, which we had at the school last year, which we hope to have again this year in June. Towards the end of the school year, we have relays, bike safety. It's a lot of fun. In the fall, we have Trunk or Treat to allow kids to be able to trick or treat, plus families get involved in making some really fun exhibits for them. We have the Scarecrow competition at the Playscape. We have Winterfest coming in the winter, which we had last year as well. We're always looking for, new ideas to create community connections, get outside with families, recreate. We're trying to create synergy with the Preservation Commission so that we can help with trails, so we have more hiking trails around Guilford. And we hope to add a family field day. So everyone start getting in shape for family field day. We're going to have a competition, we hope, at the fairgrounds for families, maybe even with a barbecue. Something that we can kick off in the beginning of summer with the fair at the end of summer. We hope to have regular potlucks or gatherings at the Playscape for 2 big cleanups, one in the spring and maybe one in the fall. And I think in the winter, our Nordic ski rental program is fabulous for kids. We rented out, or we handed out about 25 sets of skis this winter. And they were just returned so kids could learn how to Nordic ski. We have some wonderful volunteers on our commission. I just want to do a shout out to Miranda Porst, who's our select board liaison, and we have Ashley Kane, Chris Zappola, Reagan Beebe, Kelsey Allen, and myself. And of course, we miss Eric Jones and Wendy Stone, who kind of spearheaded the founding of this commission. So yes, the Rec Commission, we are here to serve the families and people of Guilford and help create some spontaneous and some fun celebrations throughout the year. So look for us on, we do have a website, it's guilfordrecreation.org, I believe, but don't quote me, so I need to put that up in the chat. I think one of the things we would love to see is swimming in Guilford, and we tried to create swimming lessons last year at the Green River, and we had a few volunteers for teaching, and we were trying to figure that out, but our biggest hurdle is insurance, right? As a town, we kind of have to worry about people getting, we need insurance. So I think that's probably what keeps us from doing some of the things we'd like to do. And I guess I'll just leave it at that. If there's any questions or comments. Probably gave you too much at once.
No, it's good. Thank you, Mary. I don't know, does the select board, anybody have a question or comment?
Good work.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we do have we have a budget of about $3,000 that the town votes on, and what we would like to do is be able to have more, more donations. So we would love a system where we can receive donations. We had the egg hunt. We had somebody who wanted to donate $30, which they did. So I have $30 to send in. But it would be great if there was some kind of easier way to collect additional funds. So that's the only thing. That's the other hurdle.
All right. Thank you very much, Mary. Thank you for your work on the Recreation Commission, and thank all of your cohorts there, your colleagues, work as well. Thank you very kindly.
I will. Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. So now we'll move on to the next part of the agenda, which is our old business. These are topics that have appeared before the select board before, but we're going to address them this evening, each in their turn. The first is the addition of Republican representatives on the Board of Civil Authority. This is a request that came from Connie Burton in town, and it's according to statute, it is possible that if there is not if there are not at least 3 representatives on the Board of Civil Authority from any major party, that it can be a citizen can request in this fashion that to nominate people to be placed on the Board of Civil Authority. So this is all according to Vermont statute, chapter 17, section 2143, and it speaks to the point that the persons that are so appointed will have the same duties and authority with respect to elections as have other members of the board, that these persons shall have no authority with respect to functions of the Board of Civil Authority which are not related to elections. So while the Board of Civil Authority does have a broader scope of activity than elections, these folks would be nominated, and the select board will approve this evening, if we so choose, to place these folks on the Board of Civil Authority for the purpose of elections. And the 2 names that are being submitted for nomination are Connie Burton and Mary Wisman. Connie could not be here tonight, but I assured her that we would talk this through and make sure that since it's all according to statute and everything, that we would likely adopt it depending on how the board feels. So I would take a motion that, thank you, Miranda, that we will move forward with Connie's request.
Second.
And Michael seconds. All right, is there any discussion? Is there any discussion in the community? Any hands on the screen? I've got to make sure I've got everybody participating. Nancy?
I'm just wondering, I don't know about the Board of Civil Authority, so are all the members involved in elections and some of the members involved in other things?
No,
don't get it.
as I understand it, the Board of Civil Authority exists to operate, essentially, one of its tasks is to operate the elections
Right.
in the town.
Yeah.
So, and the overseer of the elections is the town clerk.
Mm-hmm.
So the town clerk has this, essentially a posse of people to work with
Right.
in order to produce the election or to operate the elections for the town of Guilford.
Mm-hmm.
So that all the different aspects, setting it up, counting the ballots, making sure counting the ballots twice or thrice, depending, and making sure that everything's in order. That is Board of Civil Authority responsibility in the elections category.
I see.
So it's not true, it's true that there are certain officers, or what do you want to say, yeah, I guess elected people in town that are appointed to the Board of Civil Authority just because of their who they are. Like the justices of the peace, for instance, are all members of the Board of Civil Authority.
I see.
Richard?
Yes, another duty of the Board of Civil Authority is tax issues. If there are complaints about taxes, and it rises to the level of having to be reviewed, then that's the Board of Civil Authority who takes that responsibility to hash that out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another responsibility.
That's another responsibility. But these two, by statute, I guess, these two folks who are coming before the Select Board now for potential appointment do not have that responsibility. The responsibility lies only in the election responsibilities of the Board of Civil Authority by Vermont statute.
I see.
And I will also say, just for the community, so we all understand, that the town clerk has the authority to essentially deputize anyone in our town to do aspects of the election if there aren't enough members to take care of things on a particular day. That's happened in the past. I know that our town clerk has deputized some members of the community in order to, for instance, count ballots or whatever. That's also acceptable. This is another method of dealing with potential possible shortfalls.
I see.
All right. The Board of Civil Authority is large, yes.
Howard Law, Sweet Pond Road. So why was there a deficit in the committee of the Board of Authority?
Oh, well, the folks that make up the Board of Civil Authority by statute are all people that have been elected. Mm-hmm. So justices of the peace are all elected, and the other voices on the Board of Civil Authority are elected. So there just were, in the last election, there weren't enough, in this case, Republicans to join the Board of Civil Authority as Republicans.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Yes. Steve.
Hi, Steve Lepke from Green River. Zahn and company, do you know if these people have actually read the job description? And is there any kind of discussion with them to say, do you know what you're getting into by doing this?
It says here that a person's name shall not be, this is statute, a person's name shall not be submitted unless he or she consents to serve if appointed, and both have signed this document saying they're willing to serve.
Now, my question was more, do they know what there's, has there been any background check? I mean, to say, Connie and Mary, have you read this so you know what your duties are?
I did not do that. I would check to see, I'll make sure that that's done. That might be Penny's responsibility as town clerk, as the overseer of the elections.
Mm-hmm.
I will make sure that that's done.
I think it's important that people who are just being, assigned to a certain board know what that board is all about, what their particular duties are with that.
Yes.
So Steve and anybody else, Connie had helped out in the last election, and I think that Connie and Mary came sort of to us because they wanted to do that job. So I'm assuming that they knew what the job was. I mean, as they, it's not rocket science.
No, but I think Steve's point is good. Just from the point of view of structure and organizing, keeping everything in good order, it would be good for them. Make sure there's a talk through and we all understand about that. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right.
Is there a clear understanding that these two individuals would only be involved with voting?
It says it here in the statute, it says that it would be our responsibility to make sure that the statute is upheld. So we would need to check and make sure that there weren't other tasks that they were engaged in that were not appropriate according to this.
Right, we wouldn't want a conflict of interest.
Right.
Right.
Let's see. Is there any other discussion? I don't see, there's Ann Ryder's hand is up.
I just wanted to say what we used to do when I was on the Board of Civil Authority or in county ballots is we always would pair two people of different parties together, just kind of as a check and balance.
Mm-hmm.
But in recent years, the number of Democrats elected has been far greater than the number of Republicans. So I think Connie's idea is a good one, just it creates a check and balance to realize that two people with different sets of preferences and beliefs are counting ballots together, working as a team, and that's always worked well for us. I think that's been harder to maintain with the imbalance in the BCA in recent years.
Right. Thank you, Ann. Okay, I'll take a vote at this point. Rusty?
Aye.
Thank you. Richard?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
Hassan says aye. Okay, that is passed. Thank you. Now we move on to the section of the meeting talking about interim staffing issues. I just want to, we'll turn that over to Richard in just a second, but I want to acknowledge for the community, for all of us here, that Peter's situation is strenuous. We all know that. He will be undergoing chemo and healing processes for some long time. So it's incumbent upon us as a select board to, we can't take this on by ourselves, so we need help. So that said, we're looking at a set of flexible possibilities going forward. Richard.
Hi. As tasked by the Select Board, Michael and I met to discuss solutions to Peter's partial long-term absence from his position. And here are our recommendations for the Select Board to consider. We have two options to advertise the position or not to advertise the position. We recommend that we do not advertise the position and that we formally engage Sheila Morse as paid town administrator. We set the minimum number of hours per week at 20, not to exceed 28. That we set the hourly rate at $21.52 per hour. That's 75% of Peter's hourly rate. We fund the position from the town administrator's salary line in the town budget. And that we draw up a contract with these details for signatures of both parties, and that contract will also include a time frame that the select board will work out with Sheila. If the select board takes Michael's and my recommendation, we will work out a time frame in which what's the time frame that she will work in, and whether or not while she is working we need to be seeking while she's working for the town as a paid employee, whether we should be seeking someone else to take her place if she moves on, or if and when she moves on. So we believe, in regard to Sheila, we believe that Sheila's career expertise and her substantial experience with the town administration both qualifies her to assume the role with a minimum learning curve, and it is an exceptional opportunity for the town to benefit from her skills and knowledge. This intimate knowledge of how our town works outweighs the need to search further for another individual to fill the position. So that's what our recommendation is based on.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Richard and Michael, for doing that work. Thanks very much. Let's see. A second, I have to meet with someone. Okay. Is there any discussion here at the select board?
I just have one. Can she make the same decisions as a regular town administrator can, as far as sometimes?
Town administrator doesn't make decisions.
Okay.
Town administrator recommends decisions. Recommends to the select board.
Recommendations, excuse me.
All right, so then, are there any other discussions about this? Any discussion points? Sheila?
So you mentioned, am I
No, we've got a few people here that are on, need to mute here, and I'll check around and make sure that they're good.
Richard mentioned minimum training needed, and I am still not up to speed, just so that everybody knows. I am learning my way around systems that are newer since I wasn't here. I'm working on getting up to speed on a lot of issues that have come up in the town recently. So, patience.
Oh, I had a question, which is I'm assuming that Peter is going to be trying to do some work during this period of time, and so have the two of you sort of sorted out areas of interest, or is that still, I mean, until we make this decision, clearly there isn't a way to do that. But moving forward, is that something that you see that Peter will be, if he's able, in charge of ABC, and you'll be in charge?
Yes. Oh, thank you, Ren, for that question. When Sheila began volunteering, we, to the best of our ability, and I'm sure it will be somewhat flexible as we go forward, but to the best of our ability, we outlined a set of tasks that Sheila could oversee for us and manage for us. There are some issues that Peter absolutely needs to just continue operating, and he can do that. Peter will be working essentially half-time for the foreseeable future at home. That's his expectation. He hasn't quite done that for the last couple of weeks, but we're not far from it either. We're learning as we go along what that means. And so Sheila has a set of tasks that she's focused on now, and as we go forward, we'll stay in contact about what those, what specific roles might be handed to either Sheila or to Peter. But right now, I think it's pretty clear. We're still learning our way. Is that fair to say, Sheila? All right.
I have a question.
Yes. Want to say your name, please?
Yep.
And tell us where you
Dolores
live.
Clark. If Peter's working half-time, then is 30 hours half-time for Sheila?
I think it's 20. 20.
28.
I thought it was 20 to 28.
Yeah,
Well,
not to exceed 28.
Not to exceed 28. We're leaving that flexibility if Peter needs to work fewer hours. So we'll try to balance it out.
Yep.
Steve Lemke, Green River. Is this an in-office or from home virtually, or where do you expect to be, Sue?
About every other week it's in office. I have a grandchild that I had committed to take care of in Massachusetts. So I work remotely to the extent that I can on alternate weeks. And then I come into the office on Thursdays and whenever I'm, whenever that schedule allows on alternate weeks. So call or to email.
Our intention is that, certainly that as much as we can, we would have an in-office presence so that the community would have that capacity, which Peter simply cannot provide. He will be working from home for the next long while because his immune system is fully compromised.
Well, we're so lucky to have somebody with Sheila's experience, background, expertise, and attention to detail. It's and organizational skill. These are things that I know from working with her on the select board, and I feel as if Peter's illness has been a disaster in so many ways, and it's just a gift to the town that Sheila is giving.
Thank you.
Even a paid gift.
You need a promotion.
Yes. So
That was the preamble.
yes.
I move that we accept the recommendation.
All right. Is there a second to that?
I will second.
Michael, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none on the screen. Thank you very kindly. All right, Rusty?
Aye.
All right, Richard?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
And Zahn says aye. Thank you. That passes. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the Algiers Fire District Number 1, and I would like to just start this discussion by stating that this is an ongoing situation that the town is involved in. It's been going on for years. Everything isn't all completely ironed out. We're not going to make any firm decisions this evening, but we do want to update the community and have a discussion as necessary to make sure that we're all on the right track. It seems that there are a number of issues that we need to address, but there are some issues that we'll be able to just spread out over time, and you'll hear more about the Algiers Fire District as we go forward. That's a promise. All right, so Will, I think the things that I would like to mention tonight are that I want to put out there that Will suggested there are 3 issues that need to be addressed. And we don't disagree from the Select Board's point of view, I don't think, but we can have a quick discussion about this. We will suggest that we make sure that the town and the Algiers Fire District find a way to maintain essential administrative support as has been done under a past contract between the town and the Algiers Fire District until a new arrangement can be made. And we don't know what that arrangement will look like. We will probably, in some point along the way, we will probably appoint a small committee of people to sort that out for us and come back with a set of recommendations. I think I'd like to just say that the Select Board will be committed to working this out and making sure that we go forward. We understand that the issues that need to be taken care of can be taken care of going forward. There's the personnel to take care of the issues that we think we have going forward, with the exception that we may need to hire a third-party agency or person or whatever in order to make payments on behalf of the Algiers Fire District to take care of the billing process. And we'll probably need to do that. The third thing that let's see, I want to just make sure I get this right. The third issue is related to the Vermont Housing Finance Association, which has to do with grant payments there. And my understanding is that the town cannot do anything about that process or being engaged with that until the Prudential Committee, thank you. The Prudential Committee constitutes itself enough to be able to activate those applications. We can't do the applying from our side of things. So that would be a request going back to the Prudential Committee that they find a way, the committee finds a way to, and we will support you the best of our ability, but find a way to reconstitute itself to complete and manage the setup for that particular process. That's what I see on the table. That's what I understand from the conversation. Is there anything that the Select Board would like to offer at this point, or Sheila? And then we'll get to you, Willa.
I think you've covered all the current issues.
Yeah, there are many others.
Yeah.
We realize that. Yeah. Okay.
And so we are assuming that it's our job to find solutions to these 3 issues?
I think what I would like to just say in spirit, perhaps we want a motion, but in spirit, I think we're committed. We've been involved in this process for a long time. We want to make sure that it works well, so we're committed to working it forward to the best of our ability. I don't know what kind of a motion that we would make because I don't have a specific action other than that we're staying behind and wanted this to move well forward. The situation as it stands isn't working, and there are a number of confusions. We need to get those all sorted out and understood, and then once we do, then we hopefully will have a path forward. Ann Ryder's hand is up.
When you speak, I agree with you, Zahn. There are issues moving forward. How do you intend, just in the most immediate issue on the table, being the billing, how is that being handled at the current time? How is the intention for the billing to take place?
What I have understood, and I could be wrong about this because things change daily, but what I have understood is that the town clerk, Penny, took care of the most previous billing, which was just a couple of weeks ago. So we don't have another billing for a while that needs to be taken care of. And I understand that Dee has said she would be willing to step up to help us with that process.
Thank you.
Not for the long haul, but for the short, while we're working through this. Okay?
And Penny will train her.
There we go.
And the contractual obligations from between the town and the Algiers Fire District will pay that salary,
Yeah, that's
which is
okay.
what it had done to the town before.
Okay. Will, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Don. Will Walnes from Guilford Center Road. I'm a little unclear as to how the application for the VHFA, which is time sensitive, could be handled a little more efficiently. It seems that you're saying that we need to authorize someone to make that application. The information for the application is basically the administrative function or the purview of the administrative entity, which is in the town now. In other words, we need the relationship between the town, which is going to be accepting funds, grant funds from the VHFA, and informing the VHFA of the billing in arrears. That's information that is more readily handled by the administrative function at the town office, rather than having us make an application on the behalf of the town to receive funds, which, if you understand what I mean.
I understand what you're saying.
I don't see what the hang-up is to make that application by the town.
Thank you. Sheila?
Yeah, well, so I did get online with the VHFA to figure out if the town could do it. And we can't because we don't have the EIN number of the Prudential Committee, and we haven't been, it's simply a formality of reconstituting yourself to give me the information so that I can submit it for the Prudential, on behalf of the Prudential Committee, and then we can handle it. We have the amount of the delinquent accounts and stuff like that. We can handle it from there, but it is that one formality that maybe you could just come to the office and help me with.
I'd be
We have
happy
to
to
do a
do that, but I'm
W-9
not.
and an onboarding fund. That's the two things that are required that we have the town is not authorized to fill out for you.
What is the EIN number? I'm sorry.
Your tax number.
Employer identification number.
It's a good question. I guess we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I would have thought that the town that's been handling all the finances would have that number.
I don't know that the town files taxes on behalf or files a nonprofit on behalf of the commission. I don't know if the committee needs to do that. I don't even know if you have one. So I looked through the documents that I can find, and I know that you had some documents returned to you. So I think it's a matter of just wading through stuff.
Okay.
And we should probably do that sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So
should I contact you, Sheila,
Yeah.
at this point to
Yeah, I'll be in
work that
tomorrow.
out? Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And so we're continuing hopefully to move ahead with this and make sure we're making some progress.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the Playscape contract update. And I just want to explain here that, let's see here, just a second here, that we have We didn't get as far as I hoped we would when Wendy was here last and Eric were here last at the last meeting to talk about the Playscape. So I think essentially what I'd like to say is we're on it. We're looking at the possibilities that are out there for us to consider, but we have nothing to consider this evening. So I just assumed table this if people were comfortable with that. Yeah, table it as a discussion point.
Do we need a vote to table it, or can we just?
Just report it out to us.
Yeah, I think it's an update, so I think it's, we're not taking any action. Not every item on here requires action. So, all right. Okay, so now we move to the next portion of the meeting. This is the section of the meeting called the Public Record Request Update. I'm going to take a few minutes here and explain. I think I'll take off my mask for right now. I would like to explain to the community about the record requests that are in our hands, in the town's hands, and what steps we're taking at this point. And I want to acknowledge at the front that we are not adequately in compliance with everything, not because we're not willing, but because we simply haven't had the capacity to address some of these things, because some of the issues are complicated and require legal advice and that sort of thing. So we're doing the best we can. We have 5 records requests facing us right now. The first one is from Dick Clark, and it has been, he has received a letter from us explaining our capacity, our ability to respond to his record request. So we are awaiting his response to that letter. Okay, so there's that. We have 3 record requests from Jason Herron, and I can say that only one of them has been partially addressed. 2 others have not been addressed yet, but we're on it. We hope that they will be very soon, to the extent that we are able to provide information. We're in touch with our lawyers about what this means, because this is important information for us here in the community, and we have to work carefully there. So we ask for your consideration and your patience as we move forward. You'll hear a little bit more about each of those this evening, or at least one of those as we go forward here in a few minutes. The third record request that we have is from Christina Belagore, and that one has been responded to. Again, not in time, according to statute, but it has been responded to, the information that she requested was easily provided. It was a very simple request. So I just wanted to let everybody know that those are in process, where they stand right now. And it would be my hope that we would be able to continue talking with the community about these as we go forward, so that we don't have the impression that we are in any way trying to block information from people. That's not our intent. Our intent is to provide the information required. There are certain rigors that we must go through in order to provide that information. So I just want to let you know about that. Now,
could you explain what those rigors are a little bit?
Yeah, for instance, we have, in some examples, it's not the same in every case, but perhaps the most strenuous bugaboo is what's called the records retention. No, that's not the right word. I'll have to, not anticipating your question, Dolores. There's information that is attorney-client privilege, and that has to do with any records that move between the community and residents in our community. And because of needing to require safety and protection for every citizen in the community, we are required, whenever there's a public records request for email information, we are required to provide as much protection as we possibly can. At this point, we're using a lawyer to make sure that we're following the steps correctly. So where we are right now is that a lawyer needs to review our records and make sure that everything that we either hold back or make available is according to the right rules. There are also things like invoices. We've been requested that we have invoice information, and we're learning as we go along. It's not our responsibility, or is it anyone's right for us to offer detailed information about invoices to individuals. So we're learning about what we can provide to residents who make those kinds of requests. So that's another example.
There you go again.
Thank you. Why does that happen? Is it just too hot?
Is the fan working on that thing?
It's the temperatures.
Okay.
Lamp. Give it a minute. I don't know.
So folks that are out online, I will say to you right now that we can't see you on the screen. We're waiting for a moment for the projector, which is currently overheated, and it should come back in a moment, we hope.
How would we feel about opening a window to cool down the temperature?
Yeah.
Might help.
There's a screen in here. That might make a difference. Brandon, if it gets too cold.
Can we move forward and?
Yeah, go ahead. So folks online, I think you can still hear us. We just won't be able to see you. And so for the next portion,
I had a question on that too, the last agenda item.
Wait 1 second, I'll be right with you,
Okay.
Jason. All right, I just want to explain to folks online. So for the next portion of the meeting, even though we can't see you, you can still see us, I believe. And is there a head shake? Can you see us? Somebody see us? Okay, thank you, Susan. Thanks. We can hear you and see you just fine. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Okay, good. So we won't be able to see you here in the room, but hopefully it'll come back. We'll be able to see everybody soon. All right, Jason, yes, your question.
Jason Herron from Lake Ridge Road. My document request, one of them was just the questionnaires that you guys are required to fill out annually. Can you explain why we haven't gotten those?
I will explain that in a moment. Okay, that's part of the explanation, and that's part of what you've received partially. And we're working on that. You know, I realize that you haven't gotten everything, and we're discovering reasons why, and I'll speak to that in a moment. All right, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, I hope. Okay, so for the next few minutes, on behalf of the Select Board, I'd like to read a statement about conflict of interest, so we all have a notion about what we're dealing with from.
Excuse me, Zon, is this your statement, or did you guys get together and discuss this statement?
We did not get together and discuss it. I have discussed it with each individual Select Board member. So this statement will be read aloud in its entirety without pause or interruption. There will be no response at the end. We won't discuss it. There will be no discussion afterward. If any community member wishes to respond to this particular statement, they may communicate with the Select Board, any particular member in writing, or may request time to make a statement at a subsequent Select Board meeting. I speak now on behalf of the entire Select Board about the notion of conflict of interest for 5 reasons. Number 1, a public record needs to be created about this situation from the Select Board, so we're doing that now. Any allegation of a conflict of interest is a serious matter. Any claim must be taken seriously and investigated carefully and fully. All our eyes should be focused on securing the truth. 3, the particular allegation in front of us is time sensitive. It is intertwined with the upcoming reconsideration of Article 7, which seeks clarification about whether or not to fund portions of a proposed library expansion. 4, a Guilford Select Board member has been implicated in these conflict of interest statements, and most recently, the entire Select Board and staff have likewise been implicated. Number 5, the community of Guilford deserves a response from the Select Board that seeks to provide clear, open information with an aim to balance the forceful claims being made by a few in our community. So why does this matter? We are a community of just over 2,000 people. We each love and care about this community. We do not have to agree about how we run our lives or any aspects of our lives, nor should we. But we are here together living our lives in the presence of one another. We need to guard our trust, to find ways to work collectively to support each other. As John Christensen said, wise lawyer and beloved longtime town moderator, he told the gathering of the town each year, remember, we are all neighbors here. I also would like to say a brief word about the continuously developing nature of Vermont statute. I am inspired to think about the very human processes that have been honing and framing Vermont's laws and practices for nearly 250 years. The more we learn about the statute's municipal government portions, the more we grasp that what a well-reasoned tool it is, guiding and protecting our interactions as fellow citizens, advocating respect for one another, and serving as a resource for mutual understanding rather than, say, a digital readout or a single-minded interpretation. I'm reminded, for instance, of the fact that this statute has been developing for over 250 years, most of that time in which people were facing each other face-to-face and talking about issues, and not exchanging emails to handle situations. So it's changing as that world comes upon us. This evening, I will outline a series of facts and lawyerly opinions based upon Vermont statute to offer information so that we each can make peace with our own views. First, I quote from the definition of conflict of interest in the Town Personnel Policy Manual, Section 30, Conflicts of Interest. Every employee of the town shall carry out his or her job in a way that ensures that neither the individual employee nor any other employee of the town will gain a personal or financial advantage from his or her work for the town, and so that the public trust will be preserved. All decisions made by town employees shall be made based on the best interests of the community at large, rather than the interests of any particular individual or employee. An employee shall not participate in any official action if she or he has a conflict of interest in the matter under consideration. A conflict of interest means a direct or indirect personal or financial interest of an employee, his or her close relative, household member, romantic partner, business associate, employer or employee in the outcome of a cause, proceeding, application, or any other matter pending before the employee or before the town. So that's our conflict of interest statement policy. Moving forward, there is no conflict of interest here. None by statute, none by definition, and none by perception. None that could be supported by any legal standard. This is not my personal opinion. This is not the opinion of the Select Board. This is the reading from Guilford's legal counsel on the issue, on the particular issue facing us. There exists a statute called Incompatible Offices. This statute delineates a variety of conflicts among Vermont municipal offices. Select Board member and library trustee is not a conflict listed in the statute at any level. The Select Board member most under question was vetted and cleared regarding conflict of interest before running for office. By Vermont historical practice and law, there is no conflict of interest. This fact, known by the alleger, has yet to alter the allegation offered in our community. The allegation's logic, the third point, the allegation's logic seems to be built upon a particular moment with supporting video in 2019. A statement made by Guilford's town administrator advising about a potential conflict of interest was, in fact, a misstatement. This mistake was noted after the meeting and has not been repeated. By state statute, no conflict of interest existed at that recorded moment, nor does it now. This fact, also known by the alleger but unacknowledged, has yet to alter the allegation offered in our community. The specific public records request for 5 years' worth of conflict of interest documents does not find support in statute. Understand, this by no means makes the request for documents invalid. It does probably mean that the individual making the request will likely come up disappointed. While each Vermont town is required to have a conflict of interest policy, no select board members by statute are required to annually sign, nor must such policy statements be retained. Let me be clear. The statement does require that a town have and annually renew its commitment to a conflict of interest policy. The policy requires the select board to guard against and manage conflict of interest. Guilford complies with this statute. Guilford has indeed gone the extra step in its town policy to require each select board member to annually sign the document. But as I stated before, there is no provision requiring that such documents be retained. Some of our documents have been retained, not all have. That's partly why the request to Jason has been partially answered. Now, I want to acknowledge that though the town has responded partially to the specific records request, our response has not been timely. We are saddened that the delay and lack of full response has been characterized by a few in our community as some form of collusion or deceit. In fact, the delay more correctly reflects the town's obligation to follow relevant statutes and observe legal implications, as well as the unfortunate disarray caused by our town administrator's current critical illness. The notion of conflict of interest is a legal matter with legal definitions. It is not a matter of personal opinion or worse, innuendo. We all have a voice here. We all have responsibility to arrive at a clear collective understanding, one that will allow us all to move forward with civility and resolve. Guilford has a long tradition of cautious civility. The select board seeks that balance at minimum. At the end of the day, we all belong here in Guilford together. Thank you for listening.
Hey, Zon.
Thank you for listening. There will be no response.
Well, I was just going to quote your Guilford Select Board meeting rules and procedures. It's your procedure, right here. It says, you guys just signed this. It says, at the conclusion of the discussion of each agenda.
Jason, are you listening to me?
Here it is. How about I just put it on record?
Are you listening to me? Jason,
you guys all signed this. Every one of you signed this. It's right there.
Jason, are you listening to me?
That's not very civil.
I'm asking him if he's listening to me. That's all I'm doing.
I'm asking you if you will pay attention to your own policy. You all signed it. It's right there, the highlighted one. If you would read that, we would understand this.
I'm not going to take care of that right now. Of course I'm not. You say it however you like, please. I'm being as civil as I can be, Jason. I requested that there be no comments at the end of the statement I made. So that would be a civil response if there were none. Please. All right. So thank you very much, Jason, for quieting down right now. Now we turn the meeting over to Jason, who has 5 minutes for a statement.
We got 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
If you guys wouldn't mind looking at this, because you just said that you're not required to hold out these questionnaires.
Well, now you are.
Well, here's the thing. The Vermont Statutes Online in 2018, this is why you guys have this policy. This is why the town has this policy, is because in 2018, the state statute says they need this policy. Now, each town, city, and incorporated village shall adopt a conflict of interest prohibitions for elected and appointed officials, which shall contain. Now, notice section C here. It says a method to determine whether a conflict of interest exists. That's why we have the questionnaires. Without the questionnaires, you don't have a way to determine whether a conflict of interest exists. So without the questionnaires, Guilford is not in compliance with this statute. It's very clear. The only reason you have to fill out these questionnaires is to comply with section C of the state statute. The fact that you're saying that you got this advice from a lawyer and you're not disclosing what the lawyer is actually saying, you're just saying we're going to take our word for it. Well, I'm telling you right here that the only reason you have to fill out these questionnaires annually is because of this statute. And guess what? The next page, if you guys would all flip to the next page. The next page is the Town of Guilford's Conflict of Interest Policy. Now notice, this was signed in 2018 by Richard and Veranda. It says Article 13, annually,
In the interest of transparency, at the first organizational meeting of the Select Board annually, each Select Board member shall complete a conflict of interest related party statement and questionnaire for the ensuing year. Again, there's Sheila's signature on there, Veranda's, and Richard's on there as well. Peter was the one who helped them draft this document. So the next page, Vermont Statutes Online. Access to public records. Notice B here. A custodian of public records shall not destroy, give away, sell, discard, or damage any records or records in his or her charge unless specifically authorized by law under a record schedule as defined in 3 VSA 11 Alpha Section 6 that has been approved by the state archivist. So one of four things happened here. Either you didn't fill out the forms, that would mean you were not in compliance with the state statute. You filled out but won't disclose it, so now you're not compliant with 1 VSA 318 access to public records. You filled out and then lost them, and that's just a dereliction of duty to maintain public records, or you filled out and then destroyed, and then you're in violation of this Vermont statute. So wherever your lawyer is telling you to get this advice, and by the way, why are you paying for a lawyer when the VLCT will offer you free advice? Why do we have a lawyer on retainer when the VLCT will give you this free advice for no charge? So the last page. I wanted these documents. These are simple documents. They're required to give me in 3 days. And this is another statute, access to public records. Promptly means immediately, not more than 3 days. On March 15th, I formally request these documents. Peter fell sick on the 28th on his way into work. That was 13 days later. There is no excuse for this, zero excuse. You guys either didn't fill them out and you weren't in the statute, or you're not holding, what's going on? Tell me that you're just talking to a lawyer, and the lawyer's telling you that what you're doing is okay, is completely inappropriate. I've asked you several times for that lawyer's written statement, and you won't give it to me. All right. They told me they weren't going to have open ears, but closed mouths, so you see this. So in 2019, Richard Wazansky was required to recuse himself from discussing a motion about a federal grant for less than $10,000. The town administrator, Peter Root, stated, "I hate to be a stickler, but Richard shouldn't be discussing this motion." That was because Richard was a trustee of the library and the federal grant was being allocated for the benefit of the library. Now again, Michael, Veranda, Richard, Sheila, all in that meeting when that happened. The entire board agreed that Peter was correct, and Richard was required to remove himself from the discussion and was not allowed to vote on the motion. The whole board agreed. Fast forward to January 2022. Michael Becker makes the motion for the library article to be put before the voters of Guilford. When no one seconds the motion, Richard seconds it himself. He then votes on it. At the time, he was a trustee and also the treasurer of the library. And he was the chairman of the select board. So what changed? So we wanted to ask Zahn what changed. So Zahn is now the select board chairman, but he wasn't on the board when Richard was required to recuse himself. Zahn was appointed to the select board 4 weeks later. He voted for Richard to be the new chairman after Sheila Morse resigned midway through her term. Zahn claims during that 4-week period that they talked to a lawyer. So he said he got advice from the lawyer that stated Peter had misspoken and that the select board was wrong to recuse him for discussing motions about library funds. But here's the thing, there was no mention of this meeting with a lawyer in either of the select board open meetings during that 4-week term. There's also no receipt from the...
5 minutes.
Thank you.
Well, that's it, we're done.
Hey, does anyone give me some time here? Raise your hand, I could use 5 minutes of your time.
You can definitely.
We'll take a short recess at this moment.
No, we don't need a
This is just
recess.
proof.
Please don't need a recess.
This is just more, Rusty, this is proof of what's going on. You're the only one here that hasn't been involved in all of this. This is proof of what's going on. This is why we need to have conflict of interest policy. So you guys don't do this. You don't do what you're doing right now. This is wrong. You know it's wrong. That's why you want to dismiss this meeting.
Every other time allotment has gone over except for Jason's.
Absolutely.
That is not.
It's not?
Sorry.
I got 3 of them written down.
Call a recess?
3 is not every other one. Excuse me. So we will take a brief recess for 10 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll begin again. All right. Thank you very kindly. We'll start in a few minutes.
So where was I? So there was no receipt from the lawyer's office for services rendered. The select board met to discuss the issue with the lawyer. They didn't authorize it in an open meeting. So you either met with the lawyer and it wasn't an open meeting, or you didn't meet with the lawyer because there's no receipt for it. Unless you found the unicorn lawyer that just doesn't charge us. Zahn also claims that the town's current lawyer agrees with the previous lawyer that Peter and the entire previous select board shouldn't have insisted that Richard recuse himself. However, Zahn refuses to put that lawyer's statement in writing. He says it's because of attorney-client privilege. When asked who the client with privilege is, Zahn responded that he'd have to get back to me. I want to know who the client is with privilege, and he doesn't know. But he's using attorney-client privilege as this some sort of drop-the-mic moment. So who authorized Zahn to meet with the current lawyer in the first place? Did the select board get together and meet, or did Zahn take it on his own initiative to meet with the lawyer? Either way, it's a violation of open meetings law, or it's a violation of 1 VSA 172, which says as a Vermont select board may serve at various times legislative, executive, and judicial functions. However, no individual select board member is given authority to serve any roles alone. Vermont law gives authority to select boards and not individual select board members. An individual select person has no more authority to take action on behalf of the town than any other resident. So did Zahn meet with the lawyer on his own, or did you guys authorize it in an not unopened meeting? Okay. Still, open ears, closed mouths, I understand. So it says, a quorum and open meeting requirements do not prevent a board from delegating authority to handle a particular task to a member of the board, so long as the decision to delegate authority has properly made by a majority of the board in an open meeting. So if you wanted to discuss with the lawyer, it needed to be discussed in an open meeting. A select board must act as a body and has authority only when acting as a whole. 1 VSA 172 again. This means...
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very kindly. All right, we'll move on to the next item in the agenda. Thank you all very much.
This is a farce. This is a farce.
Well, let's look, folks, take a deep breath here, and we'll look at the select board's annual goals under new business. We each have been given a copy of these goals, and I'll ask Veranda to speak to them.
Are we not allowed to ask a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Christina. Yes, I'm sorry. We'll take your question, please.
Okay. First of all, I really do appreciate this process. I do not envy being a select board member. You're all volunteers. And still your willingness to engage the town members' questions, whether you disagree with them or not, I really appreciate it. I don't know if I speak for a lot of town members, but I find it confusing. The discussions in the meetings and among neighbors and online social media just seem to bring up more questions and wanting clarification, which I think is good. You know, that's what the process is. So some of the questions that I have were where, and I don't know if you can answer this right away, from what I've gathered from previous select board meetings, it's usually Peter who can cite policy and statute, but I was wondering where on the Secretary of State's statute, where are the record retention laws that say you don't have to keep certain things that apply to this issue? And it seems a lot of the confusion may be handled if the lawyer were able to speak to the town and explain why he or she is making an interpretation of the statute the way that they are. I think that would maybe end some of the debate if there are actual just facts to point to. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you very kindly. All right. Steve. I'm sorry, Steve.
Steve Lemke from Green River. I think a lot of citizens come to these meetings to follow the agenda, right? And there have been times, Jason, when you've spoken up when you weren't on the agenda, right? And John has said you're not on the agenda. Tonight you're on the agenda, and you have the right to speak. And I think the issue that comes up is that at particular times in the past, it's been a lot, sort of a lighter atmosphere, if you will. Whether we're talking about the Guilford Fair, we're talking about sugaring, we're talking about, you know, BBCC or something else. It's all been sort of all for one and one for all. That doesn't always exist, okay? We have situations here tonight, and going forward, as you said, you're not going away, this issue's not gonna go away. So I would heartily suggest, and having been on a couple boards myself, that this select board do your job in the sense of, if somebody requests to be on an agenda, and they go through the proper request, and they get on the agenda, as Jason is tonight, and as the Board of Legal, Civil Authority, or whatever. But I really think it's important then that, as you mentioned, there have been people tonight who spoke over their allotted time. So I think it's just because of the atmosphere, it's probably a good idea to play it as close to the book as you can. And I appreciate that, oh, let's all get along and let's all do this and stuff like that. It's not going to happen in the next 20 minutes, at least unless I'm mistaken. So the bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, is that the select board's job is to run the business of the town as the select board. But if somebody's on the agenda, that's their 5 minutes or 8 minutes. And what would be good is if it's a realistic amount of time. But I think everybody should be timed. Michael, I think that buzzer should go off whether we're talking about the Playscape or whether we're talking about retention of records, okay? Fair for one, fair for all right? If you work hard to get on the agenda, you are on the agenda. And I'd like you to tone it down a little bit because I'm sitting right here.
Oh, I'm just... Please call me a white supremacist.
I understand all this stuff. But let's not...
It was in the paper.
No, Jason, stop now just for a second, okay? Let me just finish this for 1 second before you start shouting, all right? So the bottom line is we'll play it by the book, all right? Everybody plays by the book. And if there are things that are supposed to be happening that aren't happening, you'll let us know. We need to know as citizens. Because I want to know, what is the deal, you know? And you know, there are a lot of things, a lot of comments I agree with, a lot of them I don't. And a lot of the tone I don't agree with. But I think as long as we play it by the book, it's fair. And that's all we can do right now, is to make it fair.
Thank you. All right. So I think we'll move ahead. I don't see any other hands. I do want to acknowledge, Nancy, that your hand was up a while ago. Did you want to say anything? I didn't respond to you.
I did want to say simply that I haven't been to a select board meeting in a long time, and I used to report on them for the reformer. I just feel as though for all, you know, that everybody has a strong opinion. I do think that the select board was elected, and so that does give them the job of running this meeting, and you weren't elected.
I was on the agenda, ma'am.
Right, I understand that, but I think what Steve...
You see why they're cutting me off though, right? Because I'm presenting all of this
No, wait a minute. I agree totally with Steve.
Agendas.
But I do think that... Don't leave. Yeah.
Thanks, Nancy. Thanks very much.
Could I ask a like procedure sort of thing? As you say, this is the select board meeting, and it's for the select board to meet. So when is like the town, when does the town get to do? Is it just like one-on-one and then you guys report to each other? Or like, I guess I'm not understanding. You're saying like, you know, basically this meeting is for us and we're letting you guys in to talk.
No, not quite right, but keep going.
Well, I mean, that's the way I'm saying. You've said it in the past. The select board meeting is for the select board to meet.
To do the town's business.
To do the town's business.
Yeah.
The statute says it's in the public, not for the public.
So, okay, so my question is, when is it for the public?
Town meeting.
Once a year?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Or as Steve suggests, any community member can get on the it can make an appeal to be on the agenda. It doesn't mean that they automatically will go on the agenda, but they can make an appeal to be on the agenda. If it has to do with town's business, then we move it forward. This tonight, because we were talking about various records requests and so forth, felt like it was an appropriate moment to do it. It probably would not be necessarily, and I'm just saying right now off the top of my head, it might not be an appropriate moment to be able to talk about this kind of subject at every select board meeting. But we may find another method in which to do that. Might be a public meeting, which I had offered Jason to have at a different time. That's not a select board meeting. So.
No, I'm just don't know, like, so is the select board meeting, it's not like, so the select board is not like, say, your elected official in Washington.
Yes, we are responsible to the community. But
so when does the import get in there? When does the you know, like
it is getting in tonight. For instance, an example, if you're offering yours right now. So
well, do you see what my
yes,
Yes,
I think I do. I think I do, and I think I'm suggesting that the ways to get on, as we've stated before, we'll state it again, is you can enter a request to be on the select board meeting. You can write to the select board, and communications will be addressed at every select board meeting as they appear. And if it seems that there's an action that needs to be taken, then an action will be taken. There are a number of issues that are coming to me as chair of the select board right now from all around in the community that aren't on the agenda tonight, but they're issues that may well go onto the agenda as we go along because they're issues that face the community. So we have to, it's my job to set the agenda. I hold responsibility for that. I'm trying to do the very best I can to bring issues forward for the community as the community needs to address them. It's not my job to be responsive to whoever wants to speak at a meeting like this and hold court in front of the public. That's not my job. My job is to run a select board meeting.
Sean.
So, yes. Sean.
Yeah, Sean Murphy. I think that what is missing in some respect is the importance of Robert's Rules of Orders in all meetings. And it's very, very clearly defined what is acceptable and what isn't. One thing that is not acceptable is conversations among any two people in a personal way in a public meeting. So Zahn is in charge as a select board chairman. If I say something and then somebody wants to respond to me, that person goes to Zahn and then Zahn gives me permission to make a further comment. And so the same, it's like the reason public meetings work is because of Robert's rules. And I know that from the school board meetings, if you let Robert's rules go away, it becomes chaos.
Yes.
As the chaos that I observed in this meeting right now, which is very uncomfortable for many people, and it's controversial, and it probably gets us nowhere. Nobody goes away happy. So I think Robert's rules should be so important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Jason?
Son, you took 13 minutes to talk about conflict of interest and then the public records request, and then you gave me 5. In those 13 minutes, you invoked my name several times as someone who was not. You did. I mean, it's on the record. Okay.
I didn't ever said your name, Jason.
You did say my name, Zahn, but that's fine. That's fine. Even if you didn't say my name, the fact that you are talking about me and directing this to me should give me a chance to speak my case.
Then
you cut me off after 5 minutes.
As I said at the beginning of this speech, then please respond to me and ask for time on the next agenda. That's a totally reasonable thing to do. I don't need to give you time in this meeting. I need to give you time to consider it, and I need to give you time to respond to me for however you want to do it. I'm open to that.
This goes longer than 5 minutes. This is a big deal. This is more than just a 5-minute discussion.
That's why I offered to have a public meeting in a public place that is not during a select board meeting that you keep trying to extend.
But
let's just leave the meeting where it is right now, and we'll agree that this is how we're going to go forward. I think we can be on very good terms here. I think there's a lot of understanding that we can share with one another. It's not one way or the other. This is a continuing conversation in our community, and I'm ready to have it. I want to have it, because we all live here together, and we all need to understand how it is we're going to live together. That's important to me. And so I want to be here talking with everybody, but probably not during a select board meeting being questioned in a pointed way during the select board meeting. That's not probably going to work. Just saying. So as we go forward, let's look for a way to make this work in big, open, public meetings that will satisfy everyone, full of questions, full of responses. I think we can get where we need to go. Thank you. Let's move on to the finance, the annual select board goals. Thank you very much.
Okay. What I'm going to do is just read the introduction that I wrote to these goals and to highlight some of the things that were new this year, okay? Each year, the Guilford Select Board sets short and longer-term goals in addition to our ongoing responsibilities. From these goals, we create a work plan as a framework to guide our actions. During the 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic, Guilford residents responded with creativity and generosity. Supporting our most vulnerable community members became one of the Select Board's highest priorities. The Select Board learned important lessons during the past challenging year, which we are incorporating as we move forward. In addition, the Select Board must determine how to uphold our responsibilities with a full agenda without the full-time capable support of our town administrator. And so among some of the actions that are specific to this year, we are in the process of convening an ARPA advisory committee using the Vermont League of Cities and Towns toolkit, where we collaborate with this committee to gather input about best use for funding. We will hold, we already did that, hold a public meeting on the town plan. Let's see, the Select Board solidified the staffing of the role of the town administrator, implementing a new format for Select Board meetings, welcoming the input using rules of procedure. We are offering empathic communication resources, and this is a very interesting thing. Just to give a note about this, Planning Commission Chair Jeanette Tokars, who is also a pediatrician, uses a particular way of giving and receiving information, which I was personally really impressed by. And, there's a process that she has studied, especially in her work as a pediatrician, that I thought would be extremely useful for members of our Select Board and our commissions to learn, and also to offer to members of the public who want to use nonviolent communication for dealing with one another. So that was an interest on the Select Board. Another part of our goals for this year are to continue positive working relationships with our finance advisory committee, to hold a public hearing and communicate about the revote on Article 7. And also, when Sarah Coffey reported to the Select Board, she was talking about how there were opportunities for possible funding that Guilford could take advantage of if we had more people, especially in the absence of our town administrator, who were able to work together to understand about what opportunities might be available for Guilford to use funding that's available to us. And I thought that finding people who had the skills and interests to do that in partnership with Sarah, our state rep, and the Select Board would be a valuable thing to do. And those were some of the newer things, you know. Our older goals have been distributed to the other members of the select board.
Thank you, Brenda. I think that what we should do, if I may say so, is that at our next meeting, we would adopt these.
They were proud.
Going forward, okay? So we'll look at them again at our next meeting and adopt them. Okay, onward
To the warrants?
to the warrants, please.
Okay. I move that we pay the following warrants, and I'm sorry that they're not on your agenda, but if anybody wants to write them down, I'll say them slowly so that you can include them. Payroll, I move that we pay the following warrants. Payroll week 5/1/22 for the sum of $6,259.92. Payroll week 5/8/22 for the sum of $5,834.89. Expense warrant number 2221 for the sum of $20,634.15. And there was an item of fish and wildlife for the sum of $72.
I second.
Thank you.
No, Miranda and Richard.
Is there any discussion on the warrants?
Well, Penny said that when people buy fishing or hunting licenses, she aggregates them and they get paid periodically.
Oh, I see.
So that's a $72.
Great. Any comments in the community?
Miranda, just say the fishing game.
Fish and game is $72.
Fish and wildlife.
Fish and wildlife, according to Penny.
So I'll take a roll call vote, please. Rusty?
Aye.
All right. Richard?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
And Zon says aye. Thank you very much for that. Then we move on to other business. There's no other business that was put on the agenda for this evening. Communications. We did receive one communication this time in the last 2 weeks. You may recall last time we met, there were 8 communications to go through. So business is dropping off here. So this is a communication from Rescue. Some of you may know about the situation in Brattleboro, the rescue situation where I think it's important for the town to understand that there's a public meeting, or there's a meeting that will be conducted by Rescue and the trustees. Rusty will be going to that meeting, as will Gordon Little from the Finance Advisory Committee on May 19th. And then there's a contract that we will be signing for the next period.
Are they expecting to go up more?
There will be, and the good news for us is there's no increase in, that I understand anyway, there's no increase in expenses for the next 2 years. Three, thank you, Shiva, next 3 years. So that's part of the negotiations that are going on right now. So that's good. We'll keep you apprised as we know more, but that was just to let you know that the contract is here and the basic expression of what the contract includes. We'll be looking at that and then signing it probably. All right. Actions taken from the previous meeting, as is our want for the last while. We don't have the wherewithal to track all that so carefully. I did look at them this morning with Sheila briefly, and we're on track with everything that we did at the last meeting. We just won't list them here. Actions taken tonight. Again, we'll just trust those.
I just have that adopt select board goals at the next meeting, I think.
That's to be taken. Well, we'll do it
Yeah.
at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Tonight.
And I have to go through and just figure out if there's others.
Okay. And then, so then the next thing
So
would be.
I just want to underline that I think that it's really important that we track
Yes.
the actions to be taken and the action taken. I know that it's difficult to do, and Peter had it down from the minutes, but that's something that I don't think we should let go by.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Richard. All right, and I see. sorry, what's this?
These are two other things that the select board needs to sign tonight.
Okay, they don't need action from us.
No.
Okay. All right, and then we'll take, before we take an adjournment,
A few corrections.
excuse
One
me,
is
just say your name.
Dick Clark, Guilford. One was you said you were waiting on my reply for the emails. I'm waiting on a reply from the Secretary of State and the Attorney General.
Great.
The select board meeting is a meeting of the select board in the public, not of the public, to correct for the public.
Okay.
Miranda went well over the 5 minutes on her speech.
You mean the goals?
Yeah, you did. And I had a resident call me this morning and said, what happened to the town of Guilford? She said, you were on the board for a long time. We went through a lot of tough times. We had a couple floods, a few bridges closed down, roads washed out, and we settled it all without this crap that goes on to the Facebook and all that, this backstabbing, you're a liar, you're not a liar, you don't know what you're doing. And this person is very upset about it, and she's a long-time Guilford resident. And she said, since you're on the board, and supposedly you're well-respected in town, I wish you would speak to it. And she would like it to stop.
Thank you, Dick. All right, I would accept a,
I move that we adjourn.
Oh, I just wanted to say one thing before.
can you wait till discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, take a second.
Are you going to second?
I'll second.
All right. go for it.
Okay, I just wanted to congratulate Jason Herron and his wife on the birth of their baby, and I wish you all joy.
All right. All right, is there,
Miranda, you called me unbelievable. You are unbelievable.
thank you. So, Rusty, we've just moved to, and seconded to adjourn.
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
Zahn? Aye.
Do we have things to sign?